Hi, welcome to another give your younger self. I think there's a lot of categories we can give. I know Dan's raring to go on this. He has a lot of things he'd like to tell his younger self. I know for me, I was about I think about my career, think about relationships, think about kids. I don't even wonder about the kids one. Like I don't know if you even prepared when you were young to really even discuss that. But those little tips about how you start navigating your world, I think that can be really important. And then we got also Jennifer Denny. Now a little bit about us is we're all on a journey of transformation. We've like for me, I've been in the taxes industry, the mortgage industry, and healthcare as a registered nurse, and now I'm in the marketing industry, trying to help people grow their businesses in ways that actually work. When there's a lot of hype out there, we look for fundamentals that help create a foundation, and a lot of it's given us the beauty to really have a lot of insight on life, and that's what we're here doing right now. Is we're just talking, having good conversations. Hopefully, it can actually help somebody in their situation. So I'm gonna start with Dan and introduce yourself. Maybe to tell us a little bit about what you would like to talk about as far as your uh, what you would like to tell your younger self. Go ahead when you're ready. Actually, oh no, I think Dan disappeared. I don't know if I did something. Tell him sorry if I did, and then come back, or no, we'll get him next. Whoop! I might have kicked you both out. Let's see. No, let's see. Okay, now Jen, you're back. Let me.
Maybe you might recognize it. Recognize it a little. It's 505-800-0152. It says that is in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Yeah, he's coming back in.
All right.
His thing just went wonky. Yeah, Wi-Fi kicked him out. They don't like him.
All right. Let me get you in.
Uh, yeah.
All right, Dan. I think you might be muted. If you could unmute yourself for me.
Yeah, I did. I'm good.
Okay, perfect. And then yeah, so let's talk a little bit. Maybe introduce yourself, some things you'd like people to know, and just a quick preview of what you'd like to talk about on tips you'd give your younger self.
Hi, I'm Dan. For those who don't know me, I'm a professional welder at Twin City Fan Corporation. I work in a manufacturing setting where we build fans for the global industry, such as medical, air movement, HVAC. Um, some of the tips I would have gave my younger self is treat your body, you know, better than what you treat it now because of the arthritis and everything. Don't jump off tall things, because you'll hurt yourself and you'll pay for it later in life. Make better choices than what you did when you were younger. Mostly that.
Okay, yeah, those excellent. Yeah, I could definitely see those areas in my life also. Let me see.
Like as you said earlier, I would say definitely none of us ever thought about having kids younger in life. So I was in
Right.
my I was in my mid to late 20s when I had my first one. So other than that, like they still come with an owner's manual.
Yeah, we've had to kind of figure out on your go, like on the go, and I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I guess some people grow up in that situation where they have like younger brothers and sisters, so whatever, it's sometimes easier for them. Um, but yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
think.
I have one of both, and I still can't stand.
All right, we're gonna have you come introduce yourself next, Jen, and tell a little bit about what you would tell your younger self.
My name is Jennifer Denny. I am a business owner. I health and wellness and marketing, helping others grow their business. A few things I did tell myself. Younger self would be is work on your mental mindset and how you perceive yourself. Make sure you try and take care of yourself better than what you are doing. Don't put everybody else first before you. Make sure you what you want to achieve. You don't let anyone else stop you.
Absolutely, and yeah, look forward to talking about those areas. Me introduce myself real quick. So I'm LG Lawrence Green. I've been in various industries, which given me a well-rounded idea of how life works. I've been in the tax industry, mortgage industry, which I feel everybody does has to deal with taxes at some point, and I'm thankful that I had that opportunity. Can be very boring, so we don't discuss it all the time. But then in mortgages, learned about finance and how your credit affects you, and maybe even some of the fundamentals you want to consider when you're as you're as you're living your life. And then I became a registered nurse, which is great because I got to see so many people deal with health issues, and I get to see like what what things can cause someone to have to go to hospital. What are some things that are suggested when they're there, when they go home, and it's really made an impact on me and also so some of my background. I've understood the importance of business building and also community building in order to have enough income in order to support yourself throughout your life and also be able to get meaningful meaningful topics and discussions out there so that we can all move forward as a society. But yeah, I think that taking care of your body, I think that that's a huge one. I think that's the one I would like to explore next. Let's see. Who wants to go first on that topic? Or
Yeah, I
maybe
would
we can
definitely.
all blend in. It doesn't have to be one at a time. Well, go ahead.
Go ahead, Dad.
Well, I would definitely say with the body is, if you treat your body, I guess the old saying refers back, treat your body like a temple because you won't have it forever. Uh,
Yeah.
I I'm like I said, I'm in my early 40s, and I've actually got, my body's considered almost of a 90-year-old person. I've got arthritis bad enough in my knees, and my ankles, and elbows and stuff, from doing stupid things as a kid, like jumping off high elevations to the ground. My military career, jumping off big tall trucks onto the ground. You know, hitting
Mhm.
body parts with hammers, etc. While working physical labor jobs. Currently, as a welder, I'm on my feet and my knees 10 hours a day. 5 days a week almost. So it's you know, and then whatever I do at home, like it says, I take it a little easier on my body at home. But during my
Mhm.
work week, I'm on concrete working 50 hours a week nonstop with no padding or anything left. So yes, I have severe arthritis, and I feel it daily.
When did you start experiencing it?
Actually, to be honest with you, when I started experiencing body breakdown was probably within the last probably 10 to 15 years.
Mhm.
You know, as I've gotten older with the weather changes, surgeries. I had 2 surgeries to my left knee within 2 years of each other, due to the fact that the doctor missed something in the first surgery. I kept having problems with it, and it just with your body has natural shock absorbers. With the cartilage and everything, but as your body ages, weight, etc., things break down.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely. Uh, so yeah, that's a journey. What would you tell your younger self about that now? What would you try to prevent it? Would you try to give them tips to deal with it, or both, or how would you?
probably I would definitely say both, because if I would have always did what they or suggested to do, 3 points of contact, don't jump, step down easy, watch where you're jumping or coming down at, uneven surfaces, stuff like that, and in certain cases wearing the proper PPE, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Lift with
Some of
your
you giving
knees, not your back, you know. Basically all the same stuff that most of us hear as kids. Well, you're going to pay for that later because you didn't, you should have listened.
Mm, they're
Well,
right.
you know, in the cases, my dad, especially, like my dad's really crippled up, with his age. I mean, he's still functional, but he's crippled up real bad. The military kind of screwed him up. He did 32 years, and you know, he had to have his neck fused about, I think, what was it, 10 or 15 years ago. And, progressively after that, his body's gone downhill since.
Mm,
Elbow surgery because he slipped and fell, and his back's all screwed up, due to his younger life choices too. So he was one of the first people ever to tell me, watch what you do because you're going to pay for it later in life.
yeah, he
And
kind
as
of gave you a precursor.
And as us young, yeah, as well as I do, as this young at the time, oh, you don't know nothing, you old man,
Right.
And then as you get up in age, you realize, God, he was right.
Mm-hmm.
So yes,
Absolutely.
that's some of the other tips I give myself is make better choices. I mean, I got into drinking alcohol and stuff when I was in the military at 18 years old. Not supposed to legally, but you know how that goes. It's the
Right.
culture. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, And then, like I said, I guess probably the biggest tip is keep your mind and your body healthy, because in the end, that's all you got. You only get one.
Right.
And, because I mean, when I left the military, I quit exercising, started drinking more beer, drinking more, going out partying more. And instead of maintaining that exercise routine that I had during my tour and keep myself physically fit, that also is contributing to some of my body issues now.
That makes a lot of
I'm
sense.
I mean, right now I'm extremely overweight for my body size. I don't look it like, if you were to look at me, you'd probably say, he's an easy 250,
Mhm.
but I'm excessively more than 250. I
Yeah.
don't look
Yeah.
it like, if you were to see a full body of me, I don't look like I'm extremely heavy, but I
Mhm.
actually am. But a lot of that's too is my body structure, because I'm actually from Wyoming originally. I was born and raised. I'm a farm boy.
Oh,
I'm bred for work.
gotcha. Right.
So, I mean, but yes, if you were to look at me out on the street and say, well, there's no way that guy weighs over 250 pounds. But yes, this dog weighs over 250 pounds.
Yeah, and that's just yeah, that means that's the issue with your body too. It's like that means that's the heart has to work a little bit harder, and so it's good for us to figure out that weight that's going to be good for us. How about you, Jen? Well, I'll go first.
She's trying to wolf down dinner.
Yeah, but yeah, like are you ready, Jen, or you want me to come back? Okay. Yeah. So what is as far as like your body and like how it's been affected your health or something in those lines, what would you tell your younger self? Oh, hold on, let me Go ahead, muted.
Yeah, my health
All
is
right.
trash. It's been that way since I was born, but it just thought since 2009 till now it's been really bad. But I'd have to say, despite the fact that it's mostly genetic and stuff, I'd have to say, taking care of yourself, watching what you eat, exercising, uh, trying to walk and do all that stuff. I mean, it's and working on your mental state and your ambition, because if you don't feel right about yourself or anything else, you ain't gonna want to uh, be ambitious, and you're not gonna want to exercise, and you're not gonna want to do anything. And I know that because a lot of times, even now, I'm that way. I get to the point I don't feel like doing anything, and get all bummed down, and then that's where we all I think have an issue, is our health and our wellness and our mental state, because all of that contributes to how our body is and how we feel, and how it affects everything we do.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I know, even in like some of the nursing education, like it talks about when you're like mentally or emotionally not prepared for something that actually can contribute to disease processes. And so yeah, so really really good. Now, what message would you give to your younger self?
Work harder on my on how I feel, because I know when I was younger, I really didn't like who I am,
Hmm.
and most of the time, I still don't like who I am. So, but that what I would have to say is, with a mental mindset is most definitely one to work on and keep track of, and then especially then your and then health on top of it. Doing some exercises, and trying to make yourself better than just sit around doing nothing and wasting away. Because
Right.
as they say, you only have one. As Diane and them say, you only have one ticket in life, and you might as well make use of it, because you never know when it's going to expire.
Right.
So,
I absolutely agree. And are there? I mean, I think part of the problem is like when we're young, we don't. I don't know if we don't have that exposure. Sometimes we
Yeah, I know. She's getting dry.
sometimes we don't have access to some things we have now, or sometimes they were there. We just passed them up. Are there things that you wish were there, or that you even saw, but you just passed it up when you were younger?
oh, yeah, I've done that too, and as I've also, like, I also did it like when I was younger. Another thing is, I didn't talk to people when I was younger, so I'd say communication with others, especially your peers and stuff, is a most definite thing to work to do as well, because your social activity can help you or hurt you, either aspect.
All right, bro, what to do, Jazzy?
Right. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah, socializing, that's important. I mean, even there's probably some ways that those even connect when you're socializing. It's really important that you if you can find the group of people that are kind of going the direction you'd like to go. um, that's tremendous right there. It's like not only that, like, well, one, yeah, maybe you'll be able to find the people that are going the direction you'd like to go to life, or at least you're setting up a support system, or maybe you're even able to influence your own community to do better.
I can do the shirt or
Uh,
Told her to
was-
put the robe on.
something. Yeah. Go tell her to put the robe on.
Oh, kids being a pain
oh,
in my butt.
Gotcha.
Well, I know for especially with the social activity, it's hurting Jazzy, especially in school, because she
Oh.
doesn't, so I can see what, what I was like. I can actually see her doing. She's doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't talk to anybody, and if she talks, it's like kind of like a whisper.
I gotcha.
But there's a lot of people she'll talk to, but not like really talk to.
Yeah, not necessarily that bonding and community
Yeah, she'll
building.
just like use her hands or something. She'll use like thumbs up or wave
Right.
like that or nod her head or something, but she won't do a whole lot of talking. She'll
Right.
say hi, like her music teacher, Mr. Wilson, right? Mr. Wilson is your guys' teacher?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson, now, if when she sees him, she talks perfectly fine.
She got
We
her favorite.
Well, yeah. And the funny thing is they had their program last Friday or last Thursday, and I went to it. Well, then the next day we saw, either that night or the next day we saw him in Walmart, and she saw him, and the first thing she did was run up to him and to give him a hug,
Oh, yeah.
and then offered him to come stay with her. She can come live at her house.
Oh, how
And he
sweet.
looked at me and he goes, those were the first words she said to me that she actually said out loud that I could hear. So it is taking me a while even just to get her to that. I mean, we went from like when her kindergarten to now, we couldn't get her to do any activities, couldn't get her to talk, couldn't get her to do anything.
Hmm.
Well, I would get her going, and then of course, her dad and stuff would intervene or show up, and then it'd have to start all over again. So it's
Gotcha.
been like a process back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're going back to the same thing again, over again. Is she's not coming in from recess. She's not going to the bathroom at night when she's supposed to. I mean, it's it's a
So,
back and forth.
yeah, so it's interesting too. It's like, yeah, our children are windows to our childhood. Sometimes it's like it reminds us. Tells us what we could have done better, and what we would like to do. I definitely said to my daughter. My daughter, well, yeah, my daughter. She's social, and it's also want to make sure that it's social in a good way. It's like there's some extremes. Like you don't want them to be too social to where they get in trouble. Like I'm
Yeah.
probably more like what you were talking about with your daughter that barely said anything. That's kind of how I was growing up.
And she's like that, and then she has like her and Dusty, they have our friends have kids, at the school, so they're within around the same age. So they all talk, they all hang out and talk together. But you know, problem is with Jazzy, like when she met the one girl, Linnea, she ended up changing her attitude to the bad side, and so then I still am trying to get her to realize that misbehaving and being bad, you don't get things when you do that.
That makes me think about. I had to remember that source. It's actually, but it's something I've seen recently. It talks about how like that level of yourself. It's we have this idea of who we are, and we sometimes when we go to that level, it can be hard for our own minds to accept. Like as we start getting better and better.
Yeah, I think her doctor says is what she has in her head, the reality she has in her head that she wants, isn't matching up with the actual reality in the real world.
Hmm. Yeah, we
And
don't always know when we're younger. It's like it actually takes work to do that.
well, and the
Watch.
problem is like I do that Zoloft that kills off all those memories and the emotions, and so she was on that till like a year ago, a year or two
Right.
ago. So she was on that till she was like 8, and most of the time, the first 2 years from kindergarten to second grade, he didn't even take her in for checkups.
Hmm. Gotcha.
He's
You
like, well,
just
I didn't know I
overnight.
had to. It's like, she's your child. She's got to get checked up at least once a year for
Mm.
shots and everything. You know, I mean,
That's a good point, and it also makes me think. And I don't know how. I'm not an expert on autism, but I know like a big thing with like what I gathered from people with autism is they don't have that emotional aspect, that emotional grounding part. They just see like they see parts of it, but they're missing another component, which makes
yep.
them overreact or not participate. I mean,
Oh
I think
yeah, that's her.
Well, and that's what some of like her therapist right now kind of thinks the same thing. Is that there's potential that she might be on the spectrum somewhere.
mm,
So we're working on trying to get her tested for that, but that's still around up here in Dakota. It's the healthcare system up here. They really, it's kind of weird between the psychological services and stuff like that. They don't want to seem to work on stuff like that, or they don't want to believe children might have it or some kind of emotional disorder. They
yeah,
think that oh, kids are grand. They're there's nothing wrong with them. It's just in their heads, or this and that. It's like, I know we're up here in the rural communities and stuff up here, but I have the common joke. Most of our doctors up here are, in my opinion, I guess you want to say, in my opinion, are the lower rate doctors, like the last of the class, not the top third. That's why they're sent here,
mm,
because the top end of the doctors, from like Yale and Harvard and all that, they go to big cities like where you're at in Albuquerque or Tennessee, where there's Vanderbilt. There's some of the big big healthcare systems. Where I guess you could say the top 10% of the class goes. You
okay,
know, so that's the downside. I feel personally in the Dakotas is that our healthcare system is not the greatest. It's not the worst, but it's not the greatest either. I mean, it's mediocre at best. I mean, so and
that
we do
makes me
have.
think. It makes me think of. I don't know how true this is, but I know like some of the things I've seen in medical. Well, mostly I've seen it in the medical as far as people not sticking around. As like when I say that, is what I call the Lemming effect. You may have you may have seen this in your industries also. But what I call like the Lemming effect is like I would notice as a nurse, and if people aren't familiar with one of the problems with nursing is that we have a retention issue, meaning that our nurses don't stay we're working where they're at very long, or sometimes they don't even stay in the nursing industry long term. But I called that the Lemming effect because I was at a place where we just opened and people just started leaving. People were giving up their signing bonuses. People weren't staying around. And I saw reasons for it, but at the same time, I saw also like some people that really had a good position and they were doing really well. They didn't necessarily, well, in my opinion, they didn't have as much to complain about as some of the first people that ended up leaving. And as things were getting better, they were just so enamored and ready to leave because they because everybody else was. It's hard to stay in a place where you see everyone else running, and that, like the lemming effect. The reason why lemmings jump over a cliff, is because they see other lemmings running and jump over a cliff. And and I guess the way I say the reason why I bring that up from your discussion is how many of these healthcare professionals are doing things because of what everyone else is doing, not
Dude,
necessarily making a critical decision,
I've
using a
been through
uh
4 cardiologists since this started.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Jen's gone through 4 cardiologists in less than 6 years. You know,
Yeah.
so I mean,
Just
that's
because they're
kind of,
leaving
yeah. They
the
go elsewhere within the system. To like us, the like Fargo, North Dakota, which is a major metropolitan city. Sioux Falls, which is 4 hours to the south of us. You know, Bismarck. They go all over the place where there's bigger metropolitan areas or bigger healthcare systems. And
yeah.
I would say I tend to agree. It is the lemming effect because, I mean, as you would say, I mean, as myself as before I became a professional welder, I was a volunteer EMS professional too, firefighter EMS professional.
Mhm.
And even in the EMS field, it's kind of the Lemming effect. Is somebody's not happy with something, like you said, they jump over, the next one jumps, etc. The guys that work for paid services like City Fire, or a paid service, like AMR or Rural Metro, or they're all in the same boat. They complain that the pay scale sucks for what service providers are, and then in turn that draws that rift, like you said. I mean, that's just, I agree with you. It's the Lemming effect that they, once you get good medics or good, paramedics or EMTs that would hang around and do the job well, turn around and say, you know what, this ain't worth it, and it could be a myriad of things. It could be bad management, bad supervisory staff, not the top end provider. I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, even in my field as a welder now, we go through turnover high. I mean, we have high turnover in the field I'm in. And a lot of the times the downside we're hearing is it's poor management, poor supervisors. It's not really the welder themselves or the machinist or whatever. They, it falls right back to the leadership, and and like I said, not to drag my business into it personally right at this point, but they're, even in my field, we're having that problem right now. Is there's a, I've got welders threatening to quit daily now because they're tired of the staff. We're not treated, claiming we're not treated well. We're
wish you could have a spotlight on that particular thing. Like, they're happy. They're just, it's almost like a relationship, like where you have somebody that's not happy. Like, I remember, like, when I was in college, I had this relationship, and the girl I was dating, she said, no, we kind of came to this point where we looked at each other and we said, well, I don't know, should we end it? And she was like, and I was like, I don't know. I guess so. And then that's how we split up. And it's like, I'm sure there was bad issues with our relationship, and I'm still not sure if it would have been a good one or not. But at the same time, us just saying, I don't know.
Well, that's kind of it. I mean, because if you think about it, I mean, the field of work I'm in now, they tell us, welders are the heart of the plant. We're the ones that make things go. We build the fan itself, and the worst part is okay, if you can't treat your welders or appreciate your welders, and know that you potentially have good welders, and you treat them like dirt, and your welders are going to leave. And that's the problem that, unfortunately, there's a high turnover in my field.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it reverts back to is you guys tell us that we're the heart of the company. We're the ones that, we make the lifeblood of the company because we build it. Well, problem is, if you don't, I know this one can refer back to the medical field for cardiologists. If you don't take care of the heart's going to fail. I mean, that's how I see it. And when we got welders walking away right and left saying, you know what, this ain't worth it no more. This ain't what we signed on for, because you're treating them poorly. I mean, you're going to end up, basically, the plant's going to have a heart attack. You're going to kill your plant.
Yeah. And to me, it's like a big thing I was learning, like when I was becoming a charge nurse, was how much most people just need to be spoken to. Like, a lot of people talk about the money, a lot of people talk about raises, they talk about the patient ratios, and I see those important aspects. And also at the same time, I think that if you just talk to people, people will feel heard, and you can actually, and I think management always, what I saw was some of our managers, when I would talk to them about people need to be spoken to more, I think they would be scared that I'm going to have to tell this person something they don't want to hear. And I think that's a big fear they have. But I also think, like, talking to them makes them feel better. And it's better to say, no, I can't do that to someone than to just not do it and they don't know why, or they don't even think anybody cares.
Well, that's unfortunately in the field I'm in. That's exactly how it goes. It's all of us welders, right now we're going through this thing. We had a big hoo-ha with the acting plant manager the other day. We had a big meeting with the plant manager, and we all voiced our concerns and this and that, and we're seeing that nothing was done about it now. He said he'd do something about it. Nothing's been done. Now we got a bunch of angry welders that are threatening to quit or just taking a lot of PTO all of a sudden and just saying, you know what, figure it out yourself. In fact, I can say for good assurance, I have a welder right now that's been with the company more than 15 years. And basically he said probably by the first of the year, he's gone. He's willing to give up 15 years of experience of a welder to go get on a truck with his brother and become a truck driver because he'd make more money and be treated better. He'd be kind of his own boss. I mean, in my opinion, is that really worth, what's going on? And, in our culture, is it you're willing to let a professional welder with experience and tenure that's a good training guy that trains all of us new welders or can train all of us new welders, and be patient. You're going to let him walk right out the door? I mean, exactly. That's what, and in my position right now, I'm having a little bit of an issue with our new supervisor because the guy's not experienced in the field. He doesn't know the product. He doesn't. And with myself being a relatively new welder to the company in what we do, I'm taking a little longer with the product that we build because it's not the same product over and over and over. Each day is a new. It could be a different style of equipment. It can be a different breed. It can be, and until I get familiar with all the breeds that my company carries, till I've built at least one fan of each or two fans, I'm not going to be able to be that fast on building. I still have to refer back to the prints, or ask questions, which takes time. Well, that kills efficiency, unfortunately. Well, right now, my supervisor is kind of a pain in the butt on that, and he's really harping on efficiency. And unfortunately, he kind of set me off the other day, and I basically told him back away.
Right.
He said, "Are you going to get this fan done today?" I took off my hood and set it on my table and set down my welding whip, and I said, two things. Either I said, first, either you need to step away and leave me alone so I can get my job done, or B, you pick up my helmet and you pick up my whip and you weld it.
Right.
And he goes, and he said, well, it's taking me, I haven't welded in 3 years. I go, I don't even think you know how to weld. So how about you just quiet down and step away and go back to your desk? And then luckily he did. He must have picked up that I was getting irate and he kind of stepped away. But we had an issue on Friday again where he kind of smarted off, and he's finding out that unfortunately being the company yes man is not working in his favor with his staff, because now his staff's starting to rebel against him.
Right. Yeah, and people in that position don't always really consider, like, they think, I don't know, they see themselves as, I don't know, I'm fine. Like, who would hate me, or who would dislike me, or who wouldn't want to work for me? It's like, people got to realize that happens all the time. And
well, and that's the thing. Well, and the problem is this all refers back to prior management that just left, HR, et cetera, former plant manager. They hired this kid on a whim, and they didn't even bother to think, is this kid even remotely qualified for the job? Just because what he did before, he was a supervisor where he was before, made him qualified enough to do what we do.
Right.
And
he looked good on paper.
Yeah, he looked good on paper. Well, now, unfortunately, since the plant manager and HR director left within the last month, they are not here to enjoy the spoils of their screw up.
Gotcha. Oh, are they no longer with the company, or they just
they basically no, they completely left the company due to some issues that came down from corporate in Minneapolis. That there were some issues found out, and you know how it goes in corporate America. Somebody finds out somebody doing something wrong or not
I hear you. It
meeting the
also reminds
expectation.
me of like in playing football. I had I had the I had the vantage point of seeing like coaches leave at certain times when you're playing college football, and I would notice like when all of a sudden like the really good, really experienced players that built the team, when those ones were about to leave, all of a sudden that coach would go to another school, which was a smart decision on them because you really had no idea what that next group of people were going to be able to do. Um, or if you start seeing that this team's not going to be as good, I think a lot of a lot of college coaches realize that and they say, "Hey, I've done good at this point. It's an opportunity for me to get a better job and not get all the blame when this team doesn't perform as well as it has been the next year."
Well, and like we have morning meetings every morning when we get to the shop, for before we start work. And our supervisor says, "Well, I'm going to start having talks with you non-performers or you people that are really slow. Because he goes, me and the assistant supervisor are held accountable. We're going to make you held accountable." And he kind of left it at that, and all of us kind of gave him a look like, "Really? You think you're going to have a talk with us?
Uh,
You're the one causing the problem, but you're not willing to admit the fact that you're causing the problem."
and that's huge because it's about resistance, about how like I was just talking to somebody about that the other day, and you see that in family, you see that in work, you see that in sports. It's like another way you think about maybe. Well, the way I think about it, like when you're talking about, it, like you bring things in a certain way. People are like, I'm not going to do anything that you say.
Well, and that's the problem is when you got my team of welders that I work with is, I mean, I've got approximately 20 in our plant. A major portion of our plant is the welding department. We have the most staff. I mean, like the paint department only has like 7 or 8 people. Machine shop only has like maybe 10, 12 people. And then it's welding. Welding's got like 22 to 25 people. And then assembly's only got like 15 people. So like the welding department is the heart of the plant.
Yeah.
We're the lifeblood of the plant. I'm like,
So
you're
it
about
sounds like it might not be the most glamorous part of the industry, but it's almost like in football, it's like your lineman, where a good running back loves their lineman and treats their lineman with great respect because they know that a lot of their performance is based on what the linemen do, not just themselves.
well, and you would assume that, especially being the welders, we do, machine shop just cuts all the steel and to dimensions and all that, rolls the housings, sends them to us welders, and then we do all the weld work on them, put them together, everything else, ship them up to paint, does their job with them. And then they go to assembly to where they add the motors, the belts, the fans, the fan blades or turbines, the little ifs and ands finishing touches. And that's where we run into the problem is, our supervisor is not understanding the point that if you cause your welders to have a mutiny or become hostile against you, you're going to have a shutdown because all your welders at some point or another are going to say, "No, we're done with you," and then you're going to have attrition. All your welders are going to start leaving. So I mean, and we're trying. A bunch of us have gone up front to the acting plant manager, and it's like seems like our concerns about morale and confidence are all being thrown under the rug. So, that's one of the big things too. Like I said, corporate America at work is, we're getting thrown under the rug and expected to work harder for nothing. But for
Sure.
me, I go to work every day, whether I like it or not, because I make sure my family's fed. So,
Right. How about you, Jen? Are there man, what does that just do? Let's see. Uh, did I? I'm sorry, guys. Let's see.
You keep paused on me.
Yeah. No, we're back. Sorry, I don't know what I did right there, but we're good now. But yeah, Jen, that's some really great topics that Dan was talking about that really speak to me about things that I've gone through as a nurse and not feeling appreciated in your position and you really you're doing a good job. Your coworkers are doing a good job and not feeling appreciated. Was there Do you have any thoughts on that and what you think like
Yeah,
maybe leadership could do better or
uh, lead, leadership could actually do a lot better. Most of the people, and this is, I guess, is because I've doing the life works and I'm doing MLSP and stuff. But you've got to learn, like Aaron and Stacy and them say, you got to learn to talk to a person. Actually, talk to them, not down to them or up to them or like they're nothing and you're better than them. You need to talk to them like a human being, because we're all humans. We're all people.
absolutely?
We need to go back to where we all have one goal. We all have the same goal in life, is to make all of our lives better. One way, whichever way that it is. Like me, I'm doing my online businesses, and my regular one, and you and I and Dan and Greg, we do this, and I do life works, to take help my with myself, or like mentally and physically, emotionally, and I still have a lot to go, but I still say it's lack of communication and leaders and stuff thinking that they don't have to talk to you like a regular person.
That's a good point. A very good point. I know, like for me, as someone it's been in charge, like not being a charge nurse, you kind of have a sense of responsibility. You're not. I guess you're kind of at a mid level of, or not even a mid level, but you're higher than you could be. But I remember some of my experiences going from like a regular nurse to going to a charge nurse, then going back to a regular nurse and being like, "What the hell are you doing?" Just to my charge nurse, and I realized like I I have a certain way I want to do things, and when I'm a charge nurse, which I actually have gotten a lot of compliments about, which is something that I appreciate. But then also like you start realizing like sometimes as the person that's underneath someone, it's like we feel that we could be treated better, and then sometimes even when you've gone back and forth, it really irks you. um, Yeah, but realize like we are people, like especially if I know what you do, I know what your day is like. It can get to your head to say, hey, yeah, why are you doing it this way? Do you realize that we're people? And it's also even interesting to see as a charge nurse, I would get to talk to like our managers, and they would even talk to us differently as charge nurses. And I think that's because they really realized that they needed us to help people, when they needed us to help be in charge of those people underneath us. And if we weren't doing a good job, then those people wouldn't do their job well. So it's like they appreciated us at that point, but it's almost like you would expect them to realize even those people below us need to be treated a certain way so they do a good job.
It's appreciation. I
Right.
mean, it's being respectful.
Mhm.
And honestly, this week has not been a good week for me. I mean, I have pretty much, I've felt pretty well unappreciated and not wanted. And then on top of it, it's the same week anniversary of from la- from a year anniversary of my mom being kidnapped and found dead. So
Yeah, I'm very sorry to hear that.
and then on top of it, they're all, they're all And unfortunately, due to the fact that I live here in South Dakota, I'm kind of left out of all the activities and things like that. You're outcast, not wanted, or not appreciated. And people don't realize that those emotions are real. Those thoughts and those feelings are real. And what you do to people and how you treat people makes a difference.
Yeah, every now and then I go back and think of like the the story, The Prince and the Pauper, and how like
Yeah.
any of us can easily be in that other situation and have to deal with that. And it's like that. The prince in that story, they were so shocked by the how people were actually treated when they're not royalty. You know,
Yeah.
and and then but the popper, they he learned to appreciate things. And they learned to actually balance things. They learned to realize sometimes you have everything and you appreciate it, and sometimes you have nothing, and it's like, and you're still that same person. There's really sometimes a very small thing that really makes you guys different, or makes us different. And it's like, I know I've had to learn that. Like it's different when we're kids, and we're, I mean, in some ways, as a kid, we're like a prince. We're the prince in that story. Like we think we have everything, and then all of a sudden, if we reach a certain area of life, we realize we're not treated like that prince anymore.
Mm.
Hopefully we're not treated exactly like a pauper, but to some extent, we take away that princely role. We're having to deal with life on a way that we may not have been ready for.
I don't know. I'd rather be the pauper than the prince.
Hmm.
I like to work for
How
what I
come?
got.
Oh
I
yeah.
like to work for everything because if you work for it and you earn it, then you appreciate it more
Yeah, that's true.
and not be born with a silver spoon in your mouth.
See, and I agree with Jen on that one. That I think I like. I guess the old saying is I've been in a supervisor's position and stuff, and I can do my. I like to be the working supervisor. I guess I'm the guy that like when I worked out at our beef processing facility here in town. I was basically doing a supervisor's job plus being a laborer. They
Mhm.
liked it because I was basically a working supervisor. Is that I didn't go off and hide and BS with other employees. I actually stayed at my workstation, and if you want to say it, I conducted or orchestrated the show from my work spot.
Yes, sir.
So I mean, that's how I see it. The job I'm in now, to be honest, I mean, we really do feel underappreciated. I mean, the company, so we appreciate what you do, this and that. Our plant manager came in, our acting plant manager, I guess. He's from one of our other plants down in Brookings. You know, and he come in, he says, I really do appreciate what you guys are doing, and all of us are looking at him like horse manure. You know,
Yeah,
you're
sometimes people come way too late.
we're like bull hockey on that, and that it's like you really appreciate us. Yeah, that's how come you're trying to force constraints on us to get this done, and it's not going to happen. We, like I said, we had this big welders meeting, and we all told him what we really thought. Because the only reason why we had this particular meeting was when he came in 3 months earlier, or 3 months ago. He said production was like 110% every day. He said in 3 months he watched his production go from 110% every day down to like 50% or 25%. So he wanted to know what the problem was. And of course, you know how it goes. The old senior welders were like not really wanting to say nothing. They were just kind of like, well, we'll let somebody else speak for us.
Mhm.
Well, one of my welders that's been there a stretch, she opened up her mouth and said something, and then I let loose being the rookie, because at that time I was the rookie. still considered a rookie welder, but not by much. But
he doesn't have a billboard.
and I turned around and I let loose.
Mm.
I told the plant manager what was really going on, and that I wasn't going to stand for it. And I told him, I says, I walked away from a $24 an hour job to come work here. I says, and you know what? I'm at the point of telling you, here's your 2 weeks notice to go shove it and take my happy ass back out there, because at least for out there, I was half appreciated as for what I did. I said, you guys don't appreciate us for nothing. I said, I don't care what you say. I said, and then about that time, as soon as I got done speaking my piece, everybody broke loose on it.
Oh yeah.
And then started hammering. So, and you know, basically this particular supervisor isn't going to know what hit him, because unfortunately tomorrow I have an appointment with the plant manager and the HR director tomorrow to basically lodge a complaint against him that he's more or less singling me out because I'm the slowest, because I'm new, you know.
Right.
And
not taking into account
that
reality.
I don't know. Yeah, that it's going to take me a while to get up to speed where I can build a fan in 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours. You know, that's his thing right now. Is he goes, well, you know, he goes, I'm seeing some of these fans taking 8-10 hours. It should only be 4-hour fans to build. And of course, you know, we've had every one of us has told him over and over and over again that you got to understand, we have new welders. They don't know how to build some of these fans yet, or they have never built these fans. It takes them, you know, they have to read blueprints. They have to understand blueprints. They have to ask questions of the other welders that have built them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to take extra time to build this. And this guy is just not getting it through his skull.
Right.
So basically, unfortunately, tomorrow I'm going to be up with the plant manager and HR filing a complaint against him, tell him either you put him under control or I'm going to put him under control. And, you know, I'm going to tell him, job be damned. That, you know, you were fair warned. I'm going to give you a 2-week notice. So if you don't get it squared away, I'm unfortunately going to have to walk away. And you're going to lose a good welder for it. So, you know, and that's the thing is, like I said, corporate greed, corporate America. You know, they burn us out thinking that they can hire another monkey to do the job in a matter of minutes. And then to really add insult to injury, we just hired 2 new rookie welders off the street. So, yeah, our supervisor's going to have a real hard come to in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Great point. Yeah, and yeah, it really speaks to my experience. Yeah, when you have somebody that doesn't realize that what it's like to be new in order to grow, and then you also have even the people that are super experienced not feeling appreciated, that can be very disastrous. It's almost like, I think you make a good point too. It's like really it's questionable whether that supervisor has any experience, and that speaks home to me because like in nursing we have nursing assistants, we have nurses. And it always seems like the people that have been nursing assistants before becoming a nurse, they really understand what that person's job is. So they always normally get treated more fairly. But yeah, well, I hope everything goes well with you with your meeting. I hope that they're able to turn things around. But what I'm impressed with is your ability to see this for what it is and be able to take this maturely and really stick up for your teammates and also for yourself and your family. It's that's what it's about.
You know, and that's the thing is, I'm sure you've been in that spot, you know, working in the medical field, you know, as a nurse and charge nurse, that you have to do what's right for your family. And unfortunately, it's like I've told Jen and our kids that there might be that situation where I have to go back to the job I was doing before I got this one. And which unfortunately means that turn's going to be dad works at night, dad's not home, or dad's sleeping, you know, and only awake but a couple hours a day. But, you know, as long as they're fed, the bills are paid, I'm willing to unfortunately make that sacrifice just to make sure that things are in place that need to be in place. do, and like I said, that's what I said, tips I would give my younger self.
Yes, sir.
Do what you got to do.
Grass isn't always greener on
Yeah, grass ain't always greener on the other side, like Jen said. It's, you know, and when I took the welding job, I knew the grass wasn't greener. I was trying to do something for the family to give them more of my time. I guess
Yeah.
that's it. I guess that's every dad's belief is I want to give my family my time too, not the company. Well, like I said, the grass ain't always greener. Sometimes a sacrifice has to be made to that situation, And like I said, becoming a welder, I took a major pay cut, but in my view, it wasn't about the money; it was about the time with my family. But now I'm bringing home the aggression of work, and the stress of work now that I normally didn't bring home. They always say leave. I used to live by the old philosophy: leave work at work, home at home. Well, I can leave home at home, but unfortunately now work is starting to follow me home.
Gotcha.
And that's not a good situation either. Because if I come home and I'm beat ass tired, I'm grouchy, and I basically tell the kids when I come home, leave me alone for an hour. Let me sit down, let me relax. I will deal with you in an hour. And dads really shouldn't do that, but unfortunately it gives me a chance to decompress from the BS of the day. So I can handle the problems at home.
I think it's smart too, is like because the alternative is unfortunately you can maybe say something or do something that you wouldn't want to do. So if I wish more people would realize that maybe that hour would give them a time to decompress, and then they could actually act like a real family or act like they're supposed to.
I mean, like I said, no family is perfect. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that by any means, but when you have a kid that's got ADHD, you got one that's, well, Dusty, she's growing up and she's like 9 going on 40.
Right.
It's one of those situations where it's like, okay, let me decompress a little bit so I can deal with what's at hand, but I need a little time to decompress. I tell the kids, just leave me be for an hour or leave me alone for a bit. Just let me sit, let me relax. I will deal with you in a little bit.
Another wonderful conversation. We're gonna have to wrap up for today. So Jen, you want to say anything else, or actually, say your goodbyes, Dan. Then we'll go to Jen next.
I appreciate the time. I look forward to our next chat. I hope I provided some insights from a blue collar job, and blue collar world, I guess you could say.
Absolutely did.
Like I said, we'll see you next time. Keep your powder dry and keep moving forward.
Absolutely. How about you, Jen? What are your closing remarks?
My name is Jennifer Denny. I'm gonna go.
Unmute.
Unmute, honey.
Oh, just say that working on yourself is the most important thing. Your health, your wellness, your mentality, uh, and that goes along with anything else. I mean, your mindset has to be at a positive level in order for your business to get what it's fully be able to have. And I think that we all need to work on our health and our wellness and our mentality and how we perceive others and how we perceive what they say and what they write and how they act. I mean, it's all part of life, and all that affects everything else around you.
Absolutely. And yeah, I agree. Working on yourself is very important. I kind of combine that with too. Also, like Dan, really, you gave some really beautiful and really thoughtful advice on. You really got to really think about this. Like you were able to take the leap in order to spend more time with your family, and that's something you have to weigh. It's like you want to spend more time with your family, but then you also have to, if that job that you're working is actually making it hard to give your family what you would like, sometimes we got to make decisions and do things, go back and forth a little bit, but find that balance. Like I know it's now it
Wait,
sounds like,
Ray, weigh the pros and cons. Don't
oh
always
yeah,
think don't always think that something else is better than what you are. Because if you keep searching for something that's better, or something that's better than what you have, you'll never be happy, and you'll be always keep searching.
yeah, and we can really learn to appreciate people as we're younger, which I am finding some younger people are actually doing. Now you're finding some people that really do appreciate how things work. I think it's maybe hard for them to understand. They don't understand what it's like to have a kid and really hoping that your kid ends up doing well in life and
Oh
hoping
yeah,
that you keep your kid
hoping
on the right path.
you're not screwing them up, and hopefully you got them where they can actually take care of things when they leave your house.
Exactly. That's a lot of my prayers go these days.
Yeah, amen, dude. I have
So,
two,
yeah,
and
but
I know I only got like 8 or 9 years left, and one Dusty turns 10 in March, and I'm sitting there going, where in the world did the time go? I definitely do not have enough time left to teach them what needs to be taught.
absolutely. For those who want to see us again, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can find me on Facebook, also LG Lauren Screen. You can find Jen on Facebook and Instagram, and she should be coming is considering coming out with a YouTube channel herself soon, and uh, and then Dan, he can be found on Facebook. He makes some wonderful smoked brisket and cheeses and almost anything that you can
Pineapple.
imagine smoking. He's and pineapple. So those are some ways we can help you. Me and Jen, I'm focusing on helping people build businesses through marketing, building your audience, what to tell them, and making it profitable. Jen is also doing that. Also, she's my one of my partners in that, and also helping people with their wellness goals. Please reach out to us if you'd like to talk to us, and we can discuss that more. Well, that's all for tonight. Take care and check us out next time.
See ya.
See ya.